Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to continue on the decision making process of a Java application. Talk about one more. We've covered the, and we'll just write here the little topics we've already went through. We've got the the if statement. We'll just go with this quick. We got our if statement, and we went through this before. If statement takes a condition, so if 10 is equal to 10, if this is true, we pop in here and do some code. Right? True if the above condition is true. Right? Or sorry, not true if, ran if the above condition here is true. So you kind of know about that. We know about the else as the default value for the if, in the regards that if it is false, this is ran. We'll just take this, pop it down into here, and we'll just say this is ran if it is false. Right, so we kind of walk through that kind of stuff there. You know about the additional features of the if statement, and that would have been the the if, else if, the condition, and we can just do 10 is greater than 20, or sorry, 10 is greater than 5, and then we have the else, a multi option type if. We'll just type that in here, multi option if. Right, so this is kind of your dual option or double option, two option if. If you only have one or the other, you kind of only want it either. Oh, there we go. If this is true, then, and now this is ran if the above condition is true, and this is ran if both. Oh, we didn't even finish our line. And ran if both above conditions are false. Right, so we kind of got that one down. We have the double option. One's ran if this condition is true. This is ran if this above condition is false. And we got our multi option. About the switch statement, which then takes in a value, and based upon whatever value it is, if it's case 1, we run this piece of code, and we always need the break when we are. Oh, we're not going to type break once we're done that chunk of code. So we say ran if case is satisfied, let's say satisfied. I'm not sure. That looks weird, but satisfied. So if this value that's been given to the expression statement here is a 1, we'll go into here and do this code. If we have more than one case, case being that it's 2, and we can also write these in in different versions of it as well. With the int, it doesn't have to be just an int, it could be a character value. These could be letters, so if it was the case where it was the letter A, as long as it was satisfied, the case that it was a letter B. So you can kind of look at the switch, right? So we have these two that are available to us as well, and the one last one that we have that is it's a little bit, we're just gonna clear this now. We kind of talked these over. There's other videos if you're still kind of unsure. Just let me know. We'll kind of maybe talk some more about it, or we can set up a new video or something if I still haven't really if you still haven't really grasped those concepts yet. Let me know and I'll see what I can do. But for now, we're going to move on, and we have a value here. We're just going to make integer number, and this one is called the conditional expression. Okay, and this one is a single line type expression. It can be very robust. You can use it in very complex ways. But for now, it's very simplistic. We're going to say, let's take number. We'll store a value, and we'll make a real life. We'll go number. We'll make this one number 1. We'll just copy this. We'll do 2 values, number, say 2. We'll do something like that, and we'll just take a result value maybe. Actually, it doesn't even matter, number 1. Yeah, we'll just say result. As you can see, logic is really helpful to know your logic, because just trying to build something on the fly is not always a very easy task. You kind of need to have a reason behind the programs that you build. So coming up with these little examples is kind of sometimes a pain. So we'll just store in a value once we're done pulling off our condition here, and say if you only have, if we're working in the if statement and we had, say, if, and we have an else like this, okay? The conditional statement is kind of this single or dual option if. And say if we had, we made num1 equal to 10, and we took this and we said, if num1 is less than 10 or less than or equal to, sorry, we'll make that 20, less than or equal to 20, then we just want to do this, system.out.println. We kind of want to run this piece of code saying number _1 is less than 20. Okay, and then if it's not, we'll just do this system.out.println. We'll say number 1 is not less than 20. Okay, very quick. Now the conditional statement, what we're going to create down here, is the exact same kind of logic that we just went through, and we can easily just do this by saying, we can take this, we take number 1, we'll just copy this whole condition statement here, just clear that and put that there. So we're now taking a comparison operator and we're evaluating it at this point. And the way we do so is we can then take this question mark, and after the question mark we can run a true statement. So if this form here, we wanted it to be less than, this would be our, in essence, our true statement right here. You wouldn't do the print to line issue there. So what we're going to actually do this time is we are going to just take this inner value here. We're going to go Control C. We'll put that there. Okay. So now what this is going to do is actually take this and store it into this value. And truthfully, we can't, because this is not a string. So I'm going to change that to string, because we're in essence, building a string output now. We'll have to just fix that. So my bad there. I kind of got ahead of myself with it. So this is still not done. We still need a false statement. So after you evaluate, you're saying you get this conditional sentence, we're going to evaluate it, and we're going to do this as a true value. After that, you put this colon there, and we'll take this value here, we'll Control C it, put it down there. All right, and then we'll just end the line. Okay, so let me just walk you through this. It's maybe a little bit confusing to use, but it is a one-line if statement. Okay, now we take the condition, so it's basically the same as this right here, and we can, if number 1 is less than or equal to 20, this little question mark is kind of like the evaluation of it. When it is done evaluating, we'll have the true value is the one right after the question mark, and the false value is the one right after this colon. Okay, and it might be a little bit weird, but we will print this out. We'll come down here and let's just print out result. Okay, now essentially when we do this, we're doing with the same value up here. So we are now going to come down here and we're going to print it out. So we should essentially see 2 outputs of the exact same thing. All right, so we'll run it, see what we get here. And you do see 10 is less than 20, 10 is less than 20. And that's just because we first, we run through the program very slowly. We'll go here, we always start at the main, come in, the program sets up two values or variables. One variable called number1 with the data type integer, storing the value 10. The second, we set up a variable named result with a data type of string, and we just initialize it or set it up with an empty parameter. Come down here to our if statement. We now take number1, which is actually equal to 10, and number1 is now less than or equal to 20, so yes it is. We print this line. Right, once we're done printing that line, we just jump down. No need to finish the rest of that statement. We come to this statement here. We say we'd like to store a value into result. The value will be the condition after the comparison of this condition right here. We'll compare it if the true value of this condition, which if this is true, I'll just type right under here for a second. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. So this is technically true. We'll then come to this situation, we'll print that line there. And that's how you're seeing both of these printed off the way that you are. So we can even change this, we'll go to 30 and you'll now see that this is actually false. Okay, so in the same concept here, is 30 less than or equal to 20? No, we should get this to print out this time. So 30 is not less than 20. When we come down here to resolve this, this is false. So by the logic we stated before, we will get this line to be printed out, which is 30 is not less than 20. So we'll just run that. And you do see we get the exact same result. Okay, so essentially if you can, if it's a small enough operator and you can just do this one on the, you don't need to go with this major robust logic here. And if you do want to print out to screen, in this form, it's kind of a different beast, because see, you cannot, it returns a value once it's done. So when this is done, it actually returns the situation out. So you can't actually, like, you might be able to pull that off, but no, normally it has to store the actual output of that is going on here. So this would just be the string that we sent back, and you're seeing the print here. So instead of doing the print line like this, we're actually just storing up the value in that value that we had, or the variable of result. And that's always the way that this conditional works. So if you just want to print out a line after something like this, this would kind of be your go-to. But if you wanted to resolve this and store it, you'd have to use this conditional. If you needed to store something, it'll become more apparent as we go further on. It's not too often that we use this. There is definitely 100% use for it. It is fairly powerful. It's nice, easy. You can actually build upon this as well. So you can bring this into fact as well, which then if this is less than 40, we can bring it up to that, or we can say it's greater. Well, we'll just go less than 40, less than or equal to 40. So if it's greater than or equal to 20 and less than or equal to 40, then 30 would definitely be true. It would, and we can less than, we'll go greater than 20. We can keep going, and less than 40. So you can kind of go a little bit farther, but you'll see as we keep doing this and as we build further, it gets a little bit more convoluted, harder to read on one line like this. You kind of get a little bit less, the readability starts to go away with it. And we can actually even do nested conditionals, or we can do nested situations, like, so if we come down into this, and this is kind of weird, we'll take this one out and say we'll evaluate it if it's greater than 20. Then on the true side, what we'll do now is we'll come on to the true side and we'll now take this as an evaluation. We'll go further in. If it's true, then we'll actually print to it, or we'll send that, this value. We'll print it. Oh, it's the true side, so we'll take this one for a second. And this is going to get really weird, so just kind of follow along. You don't need to in essence follow me too far with this one, but just to know that it is actually true to do, or you can kind of resolve it this way. And then if it's false, over here at the very end, you print that out, and you see it doesn't give us an error, and we're kind of nesting them. But this is not good practice. You can build upon it as you go. You can add stuff into it. In this form too, you could, truthfully, just after this, drop it down to the next line. As long as you know kind of what you're doing when it comes down to this would be a little bit easier to read. You actually want to hear the true statement. We're going to run this as our true now. So this is our true all the way up until this setup. And this is actually our false. So this gets a lot more unreadable. I wouldn't suggest you to do this in a programming environment, in a big team. If you need to use it just as a very brief use, then go ahead and use it. But to do something like this, and it just gets so weird and so hard to read, so hard to troubleshoot later. And like I said before, sometimes you can do some pretty wild stuff, but not always is it in your best interest. So just because this is a possibility doesn't mean you should always do this. Okay, so this would just evaluate itself again. So if we put 1 is over 40, now what we'll do, if it's in 30, it'll do this statement here, which then brings us into here. It'll evaluate if it's less than 40, and then we'll get this value stored in here, right? So we will actually get, we'll say, is less than, or sorry, is greater than. We'll just kind of do this to greater than 20 and less than 40, right? So now if it's greater than 20, we can say that it is greater than 20. Than 20 and not less or greater than 40. And this is kind of like, again, this is very dumb to do. So, and then in this form here, if it is it's not greater than 20. Okay, and this, like, here we'll go, I'll just run it and you should see it is greater than n less than 40. When it prints out, it is greater than n less than 40. And if I put this at 10, you should see it is not greater than 20. It is not greater than 20. And then if we put 50, you're going to see if it's over 50, you're going to see it is greater than 20 and greater than 40. Okay, so again, this is not typically something that you would truly do. Just showing you that you can nest them, you can build upon them, but don't do it. Again, there's a time and a place for everything, right? So if you do figure out, if you know what you're doing, by all means go ahead and do it. If you know that you want to do it this way, if it's something that you can handle doing, it's not just something that you're stabbing away at. If you find logic in it, myself, readability is going to go way downhill. Teammates aren't going to like you for it, and coming back after, if you don't properly comment it and you leave it just left like that, you'll come back and look at it and you'll just be like, what in the heck was I doing? So don't just know the conditional statement as is. condition, question mark, true statement, colon, false statement, close it, and anything that is after, whatever is in this true, you have to store in a variable, and that is the basics of the conditional. Okay, so that's it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, even ideas for future, make sure you put in the comment section below. If you could subscribe to the channel and maybe turn on notifications, I'd really enjoy that from you guys. Thanks. If you give the video a thumbs up, that would also be good. Or a thumbs down too if you hate it or if you're not liking it. Make sure you let me know so I can maybe make some changes. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next video.